Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. A lot of things actually happening in the news that aren't getting a lot of coverage. Probably going to make a video later on about those issues, but there's just the language, the things that are being said don't look good. The United States has come out openly and said that they've clearly noticed, they've clearly seen that China has definitely taken a side in this conflict, that they are most definitely have chosen a side to side with Russia, that they're just waiting for them to start supplying them with weapons or maybe even troops. A lot of unexperienced and unbattlefield proven Chinese troops that could get some experience over there in Ukraine on those fields. So who knows what will happen. Also, I saw this morning that NATO, that the head of NATO, came out and said that all the NATO partners have agreed that the long-term goal is for Ukraine to be part of NATO. I mean, let's just poke the bear, literally, even more. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, later on today. Mostly, I wanted to talk to you about your community, your team, your tribe, and the importance of building relationships and the importance of building trust. I think so many times that because, let's turn the camera a little bit, I don't know whether it's Hollywood or just what we think it's going to be like. You know, we focus, for those of you that have some type of community, you know, prepper, whatever community you call it, we focus on just the training, and I do talk about that a lot, but that's important. It's really important. But we need to build relationships with each other, because this group of people that you are forming or have formed or a part of, the whole purpose is so that you can survive together, so that you can depend on each other, so that you can rely on each other for your survival needs, literally to the point of, you know, putting your life in their hands. And so to do that effectively, you need to have trust. You need to build relationships. And I think that there's probably not as much time being done doing that thing, building those kind of relationships. And so we have to spend time together, and then we have to really build that trust. And I'm not talking about the trust that's just, you know, you have with someone that's kind of on that outer circle, you know, where you trust them somewhat, right? Because you're around them, right? If you didn't trust them at all, you wouldn't associate with them. And so you trust them enough to associate with them, but do you really, really trust them? And I'm not telling you to give away all your secrets and details to them, but I mean, trust them enough that you will be there for them through thick and thin, and they'll be there for you. This is something that's actually pretty hard to get to for most people. And, you know, it's going to take time. And I know the first thing a lot of you are going to say, well, there isn't a lot of time left. You know, we don't have years to be building all of these little bonds with each other. Well, that's true. I got to give you that. So you have to kind of kick it into high speed, but definitely be spending time with each other and learning. We got people standing in the middle of the road. Hold on a second. I don't want to run anyone over. Looks like he's doing some surveying. Anyways, I have to pick the pace up a little bit, because we don't have a whole lot of time left, and there are going to be people that join your team, your crew, and they may not have the most honest intentions. It's possible that they're not there to do real harm. They're just there to kind of feed off the group. Maybe it's relive old glory days if they were, you know, in the military or law enforcement, or maybe once upon a time when they were younger, they were part of the survivalist movement. It could be that they know that they're not really able to make it on their own. And so they are part of a group, not to be a contributor, but part of a group to use them as a shield, so to speak. you're going to run into a lot of different things. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people really either lose the energy, they lose the hope, or they don't even try to build small groups because they know that it's difficult, and it is. And I think a lot of the same type of mind conditioning that we see in the American population that causes people to bounce around from thing to thing in the news and not really stay focused, not take things seriously, only be focused on their leisure time and not really have a care about what's really going on. I think that same kind of mind conditioning on the American populace has caused us to have an actually difficult time building those bonds. At one point in time, pretty much all of humanity was tribal. And when I'm not talking like long time ago, really not that long ago, the vast majority of humans were tribal. And it became natural for us. In fact, I've had people say that, well, I wasn't made for that. I'm not the type that's made for that. Actually, I believe that you were. I believe that, that's exactly what we were designed and created to live like. That's exactly how God the Father created, when He created Israel, and He established how they would be set up. It was all tribal. And so I think that we are designed for that. I think due to the conditioning, all the stuff that we have endured over the last century, whether it was purposeful or not, has caused us to be not tribal. And it makes it difficult for us because none of us really understand what that means. And you're going to have people that don't have necessarily the purest intentions when joining a group. And so it's going to take you some time and some effort to weed them out. They may look really good on the surface. They may have a lot of preps. They may have a lot of skills. There may be something about them, some type of, experience or knowledge that makes them very enticing for a small group. But yet in the end, they're not someone that can actually get along. They're not someone that can necessarily be trusted. And so you're going to need to work hard at this. And I know that you can find all these different experts that say, well, if you do this, if you do that, if you have a test, if there's going to be people, well, you should have a written test, or you should, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you from experience, the best way to weed people out and to figure out the ones that can really make it in a small group is just spending time with them. And I'm not, again, talking about time on a gun range where you're practicing shooting at paper, I'm talking about actual time, doing things together, having a meal together, breaking bread together, allowing the families to all be together, to kind of see them when they've let their guard down a little bit. I understand that this topic may not be the exciting topic of, Russia invaded, Poland, or China just dropped a nuke on, I get it. It's not that exciting. It's a rather boring topic. That's a big pothole. But I can tell you it's extremely necessary. Maybe one of the more important topics that we should be discussing and thinking about. And even if you don't have a tribe, if you don't have a mag or whatever it is, and you think that you're just going to end up being a lone wolf because you can't find anyone around you. Well, you don't know that, and as things get worse, people do tend to try to congregate together. And so knowing these things now can give you an edge of when you run into people, because as things get worse, people are going to become more desperate, and they're going to become more likely to try to get involved with other people, and maybe not for the purest of reasons. Maybe it's just out of fear, and that's not a bad thing, because a lot of people, that's why they form mags together. But out of fear only so that they can get something out of it, and not that they can contribute to it. And so we have to be cautious of that. Just because they have a really great resume doesn't necessarily mean that they're a really good fit for your group. I have in the past and currently know people that I would trust them with my life. And to be honest with you, their resume isn't that great. It's not that they have any great skills, great knowledge. They're just, I've come to know them as really good, genuine people. And I've also met other people that have this impeccable resume for a prepper group. They're the kind of person you would want in there, and then come to find out, yeah, they're not really a good fit. They're not someone that can be trusted. So be cautious of this. And again, I know this video is not going to get a lot of views, not a lot of interest, because it's a boring topic. People just are gonna, okay, you know, I'm gonna click off of this. It's nothing, even though everyone complains about any kind of fear-mongering type of video. When I post a video like this, it typically doesn't do very well, and that's okay. I'm not complaining. It is a message that everyone needs to hear, because as things get worse and worse, and they definitely are, we need to be aware of this to protect ourselves, not just foolhardily and without caution, you know, either join a group or start a group and just accept anyone that wants in. On the other hand, you don't want to make it nearly impossible for anyone to be in. You need to take the time, spend time with each other, get to know each other. You can do it on a neutral basis. You don't have to invite strangers in your home. You can plan it at a diner or something like that, or at a city park, so that all the kids can play together and the adults can talk. There's ways of doing it in a safe manner, but also in a way that you can get to know each other. And it's going to take a few times. And so this is something that you really need to work on, because my opinion is we're running out of time. That's the harsh reality. We're running out of time. I don't think we have years and years left. I think that the clock is ticking and there's not a whole lot of time left. So folks, continue to get your houses in order, to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.